The following video was recorded on location in my state-of-the-art office in the corner of my first floor apartment. If you like what you're about to hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell in the upper right corner.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to talk to you again.
Yeah. Good to chat to you, man. Remember when I was telling the press person your girlfriend took us to the laundromat?
That's right.
Before. Yeah, good stuff, man. How you been? All right, yeah?
Yeah, I've been doing great, and seeing from the looks of everything going on, I'm assuming that you're doing great as well.
Yeah, the music, yeah, we've been non-stop with all the music and all SikTh stuff and everything else. Yeah, it's going along, yeah. Have you got to listen to the album yet?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was just about to bring that up. Coming out June 2nd through Millennium Night, The Future in Whose Eyes? The first album from SikTh in quite a long time. I mean, of course, you released an amazing EP before that, but what was it like to finally get back into the album world with SikTh?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we're doing a full length and everything else. It was like a lot of work to do, but yeah, I kind of carried on as I left off with Opacities, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm always writing music, so it was kind of like, yeah, but it was grueling because I was constantly asking for music, and it all became like kind of like, it seemed to be like, we need an album done, and we've only got a few months left. Give me it. So I worked like every hour I could. It was really hard, and I even stayed until 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve and everything like that, you know what I mean? And all that kind of thing. I just worked almost every day. So it was very, very hard work, the whole thing.
Well, I can definitely
to get it to be as good as it could be.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I can definitely say from a fan standpoint that this is one of the greatest albums I've ever heard you sing on, and one of the best albums I've ever heard from SikTh. I mean, just everything on this album. I mean, it feels like that kind of pressure really lit something under you guys, because it's phenomenal from start to finish.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, I think for myself, I put huge pressure on myself to try and do something catchy for everything I did, even though it's really complex music and everything else. I wanted it to be really memorable, every line. And even though, like, you know, you kind of always would say, oh, you want every line to be memorable, but before it would be a lot more experimentation and things not repeating, but structurally I got my hooks, and I just kept on working until I got the best I could, yeah, from the musicians' point of view, they worked really hard on kind of trying to push to the next level, taking the music to the next level. After Opacities had like a lot of groove on it, so they wanted to do that, but add a lot of intricacy as well. And also we went to some psychedelic places too, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, it's got everything I love about the band and some brand new stuff that I've been wanting to hear from you guys. I mean, you're covering all the grounds that I could be looking for as a fan.
That's great. Great to hear, man.
Yeah, and I definitely got to say without question, When It Rains is the perfect ending to the album as well. I love the way that everything's capped off.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, When It Rains is a really nice kind of spoken word, which is asking a lot of questions of the listener. It's asking you how you think in life and how you see the world, and do you see it like I do, or how do you see it? And that's what I ask a lot of, that question, but I ask it straight up in that song. And actually, I remember I wrote that out on some antique paper, because it's actually going out on some special editions, like these bits of poetry. They get inserted in, like, I think 10 special editions around the world or something like that, right? So yeah, and I sent a screen grab of that to a few people, and they were all like, wow, man, you know, they loved the poem. So I had a good feeling about that to begin with, so I'm glad you picked up on it. I'm glad you liked that one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the first time that I heard it kind of left me a bit awestruck, considering everything that came before, but the more that I listened to the album, it totally fits with everything that's going on, and it really does make you want to have the answers to those questions in life.
Yeah, well, I have my own opinions, and so, but like not on everything. But yeah. It kind of I see the world in a certain way, and everyone sees it in a different way, and so it's just I like the way if you can write lyrics which are kind of universal, so people can make their own feelings, own what am I trying to say? Their own meanings of the lyrics to them, then that's a really positive thing. That's what I want to do. That's like kind of like that's what I aim to do at the beginning. Kind of like make, if it's a sorrowful song, like if someone feels something and they connect something in their lives to a certain song, a certain lyrics, it triggers something for them, then that can be a really positive thing too, because they can feel less alone. So it's one of the best things you can do as a lyricist, to begin with. So, but anyway, yeah, through the album, I ask a lot of questions and just give a lot of opinions, a lot of commentary on the world and everything else. And so, yeah, I'm not preaching. I'm just kind of giving my opinion. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yes. And in speaking of that, I was thinking about that. Is that why you chose the title "The Future in Whose Eyes"?
I thought it was a good title, "The Future in Whose Eyes," because in a particular song, I'm talking about like when, well, it was initially inspired. I really wanted to do a song for years. I was so upset, like a lot of people were, when the Astoria got demolished in London. And we thought, man, why wasn't that preserved? Why wasn't that, because that was a great bit of history and art. A really important thing about art culture and music in England and the world. Everyone, more or less everyone's played there. You had Nirvana there, everyone's played there. Anyway, and but then there's so many venues closing down everywhere, all over the place, and then you also see going back to Death of a Dead Day with Bland Street Bloom, the song I was talking about, with so many town centres then losing their independent shops and their character, and then everything becoming chain stores and everything becoming very bland, and a lot of new venues getting built very bland and like not about feeling. It's just just feels like. And so that was kind of what inspired the song initially. So the future in whose eyes, I was saying the future in someone else's eyes, not mine. But then I also like, if you look into the metaphor a little bit further, the future in whose eyes and the artwork, it kind of says, is this the future, the way humanity's gone, almost like a robotic, everyone's so like into their phones and into their technology, and they're not letting themselves be creative. It's a suppressing creativity. Do you know what I mean? And so, I mean, we can see that, but we still do it, me included. I'm not. I've still got a phone and things like that. You know what I mean? I'm still like, part of it. I'm just commentating. But I'd like to think I've got a very creative voice and still keep myself at a certain distance to continue my creativity, And there's a lot of people who are, but a lot of musicians who are not.
Yeah, and I totally understand that as well. I mean, there's so many great advancements with technology. It is sad that we've become so reliant on so much of it that it does kind of take away from our lives. But I think it's good to have a good balance, because there's so much technology out there that people are using. I mean, it's good to stay in contact with people. I mean, like for example, being able to do this through Skype.
That's great. It's great in many, many ways. Yeah, there's so many great things. It's not all negative at all. I just touch on the how people's minds are suppressed. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, how you create the authenticity of creation, and that's what I was kind of talking about. Nowadays, for instance, I'm talking about everything like social media, everything. So, say you're many a band, would have so much social pressure nowadays with statistics of social media and everything else. A lot of the focus is on the finer, the getting on the front cover of a magazine, or being, just getting on that stage as quick as you can, and missing out the amazing, the whole creative process, the whole like finding yourself, finding your sound, finding. There a lot of people can make albums in their bedrooms and everything else to start with, without even jamming in a room like ever, and that's it. Just shows me the amount of the lack of originality in the last decade or more. And then you look at the bands in the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. It's night and day, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, without question. I mean, especially from that musician standpoint. I mean, it's one thing to be able to record in your own home by yourself, not jamming with other people who might be collaborating with you. But it's a whole another thing to be able to be in a full band together, being able to see each other while you're playing, being able to hear everything live, and really getting that creativity going.
Yeah, and people don't realize, and I'll tell you now, because I can say this now. I've been on the front of Rolling Stone in India. I've been in all the magazines in UK, and we've had all that kind of thing. And I can tell you now, the best thing about being in a band or being a musician is finding your own sound and thinking, wow, I've got something special here musically. That is the one best thing about being in a band. Second best, along with that, is when you're playing live and you're connecting with the crowd and you've got all that going on. That's amazing too. But I can tell you, it's a long way, a good few steps down, and then you're like, yeah, okay. Then you can show a magazine to someone, then you go, that was cool, let's move on. Okay, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, without question. I mean, those are two of my favorite things as well, being in a band. I mean, being able to find your own sound and connecting with the band and the audience in a live setting. I mean, there's so many negative things that can happen while being in a band, outside of the band, things that you can't really control. But when you get those two things locked in, there's just no better feeling.
Yeah, it can be great, can't it? Amazing. Thinking you got something special, man. You know, that's just, it's a place not all musicians go to, not all musicians have found. But when you find it, it's magical, and you keep wanting to create that again. And you always have to go and create different music to do that, obviously. But conjuring from the sky is what I say. I don't know if people can understand that, but that's what I do. I don't think I'm going to try and do a thing like to sound like that band or try and do that. I just conjure from the sky, man. I want to create something new.
When did you realize that you had that voice that was different? I mean, was there like a particular song or a show or anything like that where you realized that you had it?
No, I've always just approached things a bit differently. I think I'm not what would you call it? What did my old manager used to say? He used to say something which made sense. I'm not like a natural. There's another word for this, but it's disappeared out of my mind for this moment. But I'm not like a natural singer. I'm not like an opera singer or something like that. I approach singing in a completely different way, and I've developed this voice, and I've learned so many things ever since I've been started singing. But I approached it instantly in a different way anyway. I approached it as screaming, but screaming in tune, obviously. That's very important, but screaming and then mixing all these different accents and voices, using all my muscles in different ways. And the more and I'm a very experimental vocalist, so the more you experiment, the more you find, and the more you're like, wow, if I combine this and this and this, and then I could do this, and that's what I'm really inspired by, and that's what I've always done. But it's always since a teenager until now, I've always just wanted to create my own thing and have my own voice.
Yeah, and you definitely have been able to pull that off for so very long now, and it's amazing to see the impact that you've had as well. I mean, so many vocalists have been inspired by you. Me, just being a drummer, I mean, like being able to accent when I do playing by vocal ability as well. I mean, it's so great to see all the experimentation that you have going on with your vocals. When there's so many vocals that do screams, for example, that are just so monotonous and they have no tone to their sound whatsoever, you try to match what the music needs, and you do it so very well.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks. That's a great compliment to have. And I said, for instance, that spoken word you talk about when it rains.
Yes.
And it's good you touched on this because the music, I had the poem before. Now, those three spoken words which are on the album, which have backing music, quite cinematic soundtrack kind of backing music, Dan Weller wrote the backing music, and I'd already written the poetry for each three of them. Every other song, the patterns and the melodies, I wrote them, and then I added the lyrics later. But for the three spoken words, I'd written those lyrics before, but I waited until I could hear the soundtrack music before I did the low voice, the talking voice. You know how you know that voice I'm talking about. Have you found love in this life? That's the start of When It Rains, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So anyhow, yeah, and it had to be in tune with that. So you have to, even when I'm doing a low voice like that, it has to be in tune with the music for me, because it all sits better, it feels better, it feels like as one. It just doesn't feel right if it's not, kind of in the right tune. And like you say, there are a lot of monotonous kind of vocalists around who just do that. And like just do that monotone thing, and it just kind of doesn't feel real to me when I hear that. It doesn't feel very honest. And if someone's not expressing themselves in such a way and just screaming in a monotone way, continually screaming in that way, and it's like, man, really? So I want to hear something with emotion driven.
Yeah, and again, that's just another reason why I've been so drawn to SikTh over the years. I mean, just you alone, let alone everyone else that's ever been a part of the band to this point. I mean, just being able to focus on that creativity, driving those melodies and harmonies and getting those emotions. And when I check out the album, like I've been able to listen to it about once or twice a day since I've been given the copy, and I've just been noticing all these great intricacies that's going on between everybody in the band, and there's just so many moments that I wouldn't hear in other styles of music or in other bands, even if they get categorized with you guys. I mean, you guys just have this great sound that is so hard to replicate, and it's all because of the honest, real musicianship and the quality of songwriting that you guys do.
Well, thank you very much. And I think it's also to do with three of us in the band are complete perfectionists, maybe to a point of over the top, but we do it, and there's so many layers in there. That's why it is. It's me, Dan Weller, and Dan Ford are completely like, we're very, we all hear things others say, well, just chill, just leave it. No, we're like, straight in there on it. And yeah, I don't know, man. Thank you very much for what you said, man. That's really appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. And I can totally relate with getting that perfectionist style in there, because it's one thing if you miss notes or something happens during a live show, but with an album, I mean, you got to make that as perfect as possible, because that's what's going to be the lasting effect for most people. I mean, unless you're recording that show, only the people in the audience are going to be able to experience that live. But the album, anyone who goes and picks it up, or if there's streams on social media or YouTube or whatever the case is, they'll be able to check it out and they'll see what's going on.
Yeah, and I you know what? Also, George, I've got to say that having this my own studio, which I've got just for me, is great, because whenever if I think a line and I say it, I sing it, then it's there, it's done. I don't just turn up to a studio and go, right, let's get this all done in a week or 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? I just do it, and if that first take is right and it's got the passion, the energy, it's done. Because everything I'm doing in the studio is recorded. Do you know what I mean? I'm recording it all. So it's a great help, to be honest with you. I don't know if that answered your question. I think I might have just invented my own question then. Sorry if I did.
Oh, not a problem. See, this is what I like to do. I like having these casual conversations rather than just having something written down, because I actually care about what you have to say. And if things go in a totally different direction, that's what I totally want. I mean, I want this to be authentic.
Yeah. I just, I have a tendency to do that, kind of go off on tangents and stuff. So, but yeah, thank you very much. But honestly, just remind me sometimes if I go too far off on a tangent. Yeah.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but then again, I love hearing the stories that you have as well. So I guess it's got to be a good balance.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Oh, awesome. Well, of course, there's been a few singles released from the album so far. What has the reception been so far?
Well, you know what? I mean, from the journalists who've heard it, it's been great, and I've seen a couple of album reviews, and they've been really, really good. From the general public, they haven't heard the full album, but I feel that all I'm hearing from the general public is people who write on message boards on like Facebook or YouTube, and that's not everyone. But the people who write on that are really, really wanting crazy, crazy music. They want to hear the songs like Riddles of Humanity or Century of the Narcissist, Weavers of Woe, stuff like that. That's what they want to hear, and we give them Golden Cufflinks, which is a great melodic kind of anthemic song, but they want the crazy stuff, you know, those fans there, it seems. So, yeah, it's got a kind of a mixed bag, because a lot of people love that, but a lot of people are going, no, we want to hear crazy music, you know, because they were SikTh fans to begin with. They're used to intense, hectic, wild music.
And speaking of that, with Golden Cufflinks, amazing job with the video. I absolutely love what you did with it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I wasn't quite sure what it was gonna, because I mean, my manager told me what he wanted, and then I told the DOP, and I kind of just went with it. I went on the edit. I'm an editor, kind of. I kind of think of things. I'm very much a director as well, but on this particular one, I was more choosing what imagery would go in and edit it, kind of like almost piecing things together. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
but I'm actually making one for Cracks of Light right now.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm meant to say that, but I did. There you go. So Cracks of Light, featuring Spencer.
Oh, yes, that's right. I was going to bring that up as well, because that was the first time that someone outside the band has been vocally a part of a SikTh album. What was it like to have Spencer contribute to it?
He was great, man. He's a real nice dude, really real laid back, but also very on it, and he got it done really, really quickly, really, really quick. Like within a couple of hours, it was done, and then we could just mess around and do some stuff the next day. And he's awesome, man. Spencer's a great dude.
So I would imagine that this all came to be because of the Periphery tour here in North America, right?
Yeah, we were in a bar one night, and we were talking about it, and yeah, I mentioned it to him, and he said, yeah, let's do it. And so he was in Germany, and we flew him over, and he came and did it, and it was awesome. Actually, that happened in December or something. I actually took him to the oldest free house in the world. No, not in the world, in Britain or UK. I keep getting things wrong here. But anyway, I took him to this really old it was 600-year-old place. It was a kind of it was awesome, man. All the walls were kind of all bent, and you know, it was crazy place, man. I remember that about Spencer. Yeah, it was just a couple of days he was here, and it was really chilled and good vibe to hang around with him. His voice is really kind of perfect, fits perfectly in for SikTh. You know, absolutely perfect voice to go on a SikTh album. Works perfectly with my voice, and yeah, it was good.
Oh, that is so cool. And then it's great to hear that he actually did fly out to be able to record the vocals. I mean, a lot of guest spots are done without the musicians even meeting each other, but he actually flew out and recorded it with you. I mean, it's so great to be able to see that still happening.
Well, it was great. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it would have been different if he was in America. Because if he was in America, he's got his own studio, but he was in Germany. And to fly someone from America and fly someone from Germany is a very different cost, as you would know.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, so we were able to do it, and it was nicer to do it like that, as you say. And also, we did it at Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden studio, as you would remember. We talked about Primal Rebellion before and everything. So Adrian's got his own studio, R&R Studios in Uxbridge, and yeah, it was kind of, yeah, it was just easy. It was just relaxed, easy.
Oh, a bit of a sidebar now, because you did bring up Primal Rock Rebellion. Have you had a chance to talk to Adrian about possibly doing anything since the last time we talked?
Since the last time we talked, I think I would have mentioned it to him about people being buzzy about it and stuff, and I think he probably said great. I can't quite remember, but I'm going to be seeing him on May 27th, because Iron Maiden are playing in London, so I'll go and hang out then. And but yeah, anyway, I mean, Adrian's so busy, and I've become busy. So if it comes to a point where we've both got something to do, but Maiden, they've got quite a long tour coming up, I think.
Oh yeah, they're actually going to be playing here next month.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Yeah.
So I don't know when their tour ends. I'll have to check it out. I'll have to go on their website or something. But yeah, well, I mean, for SikTh, we've just got, I mean, you probably got this in your questions for when we're going to tour again, but I'm hoping we can come back to America as soon as we can, but it might end up being like early next year, but let's see, it might end up being this year. All depends.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it the next time that you guys are able to make it over here, because I absolutely love what's on the new album, and I can't wait to experience those songs live.
What songs would you, it might be hard to remember titles. Yeah, I was just going to think, like, some of those songs live would be just insane, like Weavers of Woe and stuff like that. That would be so aggressive, and Century of the Narcissist would be really, really good to play that live. I think we're actually going to play Golden Cufflinks at Donington.
Oh, nice.
At Download Festival, yeah, because we've got the main stage there. So that's a big thing. So we'll have to see that, but yeah, I think Golden Cufflinks is going to go there. I think the Aura could be a great one in the set because it's so bouncy, but we're not going to play that yet.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's really no wrong choice when it comes to the album. I mean, it flows together so naturally. I mean, when you do pick a handful of songs from the album, I think that they're going to go over well. I mean, as long as you can find a way to like satisfy the ones that want the crazy music and the more groove-oriented stuff. I mean, as long as you get that good combination, like I know you guys will do, I think it'll work out great.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think we definitely got to get those like really well. Oh, Riddles of Humanity, those riffs would be crazy live as well. But yeah. I don't know, man. Because we haven't jammed all the songs in a room together, it's hard to say what would work best. But I would like to do that as soon as we could, you know what I mean? I'd like to play a lot of songs, If it was up to me, I would halve the set in old songs and new. And new, I mean the last album, yeah.
Yeah, I would be personally very happy with that. But, it's like Donington, for example. I mean, if you guys get another support slot or if you guys get out headlining, I mean, obviously everything's got to change with the situation and the set list and everything like that.
I agree with you, yeah, man. Yeah. Like, it was a very hard tour what we did with Trivium just now in Europe. Kind of, because the crowd was so far away from where we were, where it was kind of like, with Periphery, the crowd was with us everywhere, and then we were just similar music style, where with Trivium, even though someone from outside would go, oh, well, you're both kind of heavy and play heavy riffs and scream now and again and sing now and again, but no, we're so different, and our fans are so different. But I mean, in lots of places like Milan, Marseille, Santiago, loads and loads of places, Oslo, Copenhagen, they loved it, but like, for instance, in Germany and stuff, they were like, just like looking at us like we were spacemen, like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. So it was kind of a strange tour.
It's funny. I actually had a interview earlier today where we kind of touched on this, where sometimes it just takes hearing a band live that they're not entirely familiar with to introduce them into a new style. I mean, when you're opening up for Trivium, Trivium and SikTh, they're two very different entities, but I imagine that there are some Trivium fans out there that would want that kind of SikTh music, and hopefully you made a lot of good fans that come out of that.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I mean, I definitely think some of those places I mentioned, they absolutely loved it. And in Paris and a lot of places absolutely loved it. Even in Stuttgart in Germany, they really liked it. And but yeah, because it's such a long 6-week grueling tour, I think that's what you kind of come out with. Man, that Periphery tour in America was amazing. You know what I mean? You kind of come out with like 4 weeks of everyone loving it every night you play, you know what I mean? And having just great vibes. We were in the summer weather and, it was... I don't know, man. I think SikTh, I think we all kind of have a thing. I do, definitely. And I know Joe does, and I think Dan Weller as well. We love America. We really, really do. I'm not saying this because I'm on an interview with someone in America. I'm saying it because I mean it. Like, we really love America, and we love touring America and the fans, and how, look how how much you are looking into questions that you're asking, how deeply you think into music and into lyrics and poetry and everything else. A lot of people in America think very, very deeply about music, and they search within themselves and within, you know, within what the music's trying to say and how it feels. It doesn't happen everywhere, man.
And with that, I mean, it's great to hear you say that, because I've always wanted you guys to be able to make it over here, and that's why I was so thankful to be able to see you guys last year. I mean, that was one of my favorite sets that I've ever seen, was you guys playing in Minneapolis. How much has that...
Thanks.
Oh, not a problem. How much has that inspired you when you were finally able to make it to America and be able to do a tour like that?
Oh, it was amazing, man. It was like a life ambition, and it was better than I thought it was going to be as well. Because a lot of bands who I've known, who I've heard talk about it, oh, America, such long drives, and oh, it's really hard. And man, we had a complete different thing. We went there and we loved it. You know what I mean? What was the question again? Just remind my mind.
Oh, sure thing. You know, just like you were talking about, like loving playing in America. How much has that inspired you after the fact?
Yeah, well, it inspires me to come back there for sure, and it also, you know, and also, you know what America did? One of the main things America did for me was let me know that people really, really do listen to my words. They love the music, obviously, and loads of people in Europe and everything. Oh yeah, all this. But they listen to words. In America, I've seen like people scream. I mean, a lot of people scream the words in London, obviously, all the way through. But people really, really, really listen and really get the poetry in the words in America. And that's what, you know, so I have to keep on top. I mean, I'm going to keep on top of things anyway when it comes to lyrics. But it really made me think, man, you know, people are listening. That's great,
yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about that, too, because, like, I feel like this is some of your best vocal work and poetry to date with everything that you got going on. And I was going to ask if that was inspired from that.
Yeah, well, it was inspired by experiences. The whole thing was inspired by experiences, the themes and everything. But yeah, I was very inspired by America and being there and everything. But I didn't write anything negative about my experiences in America on that whole album, because I feel positive about it, to be honest. I wrote negative things about going to certain other places and watching certain things, like actually there's this guy called Ross Kemp, and he has a series called Ross Kemp Extreme Worlds, and some of the things you see are just quite horrific in this world, and the way some people think and everything else. And you know, that was actually as well as my own visuals of certain things. And you know, also, like I was talking to someone else the other day about this, is there's certain places you go and you can see there's, like, you know, there's, for instance, I saw when I thought, man, this guy, he's on a phone, he's looking at me, he's looking at these other people, he's looking at, and I walk along a little bit further, there's another guy on the phone. And there's certain places in the world, and they're all connected, you know, and there's lots of, like, you know, thieving gangs and things like that. And that's just, like, you know, that's just touching the edge of it all, you know what I mean? And I'm just saying, that's what I'm asking people, like, do you see, like, danger? Because, you know, not everyone does. And I'm not saying I see everything at all, but some people will say maybe that's paranoia, or you'll say maybe you just see what is there. Do you know what I mean? And that's just touching on one side of things on the album. When I talk about darkness and everything else, I talk about, you know, far darker things than stealing a mobile phone or something. But you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, without question. And, you know, it's sometimes you have to have those experiences, and sometimes it's seeing through other people's experiences, but it's really about finding out, much like you say at the end of When It Rains, you know, just finding the answers to the questions, because no one's going to have the same answers for everything, and you got to find those answers for yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's good you realize this, and thank you for looking into that as far as you do, man. Yeah, that's why I wanted to just put those things out there, because I think a lot about these things I ask. And I also said, do you see demons too? Do you see flower beings? Do you see beautiful, beautiful, magical people with beautiful hearts? And do you also see extreme darkness? I'm asking lots of different questions.
Yeah, and that's why, one last final point, I love the album work this time around. I mean, it totally matches everything that you were just talking about. It's got the beauty with it. It's got the darkness behind it. It's such great visuals that go along with it. I mean, it's just outstanding work.
Yeah, Meets Myers is a genius. He's based in LA, and he came to our LA show. He also designed a Primal Rebellion front cover.
That's right.
And that was actually stock work which he had, which we, stock work, I say, he'd already designed it, and then we bought a load of stuff of him. But yeah, he designed this for this album, and it's saying, like, I think it reflects the humanity evolving and devolving at the same point, kind of like a robotic cyborg, and it's a good reflection of that, of what, eventually kind of humanity. It's kind of saying humanity is a little bit, almost self-destructive in ways. Do you know what I mean? Because humanity is self-destructive in ways. Do you know what I mean? Why does technology further for so many different people to invent ways since the beginning of humanity? I'm talking to invent ways to hurt each other and things like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many positive and negative things that come from humanity like that, and it's just like all you can try to do as a person, at least in today's age, is to try to be a good person and leave a good mark by just trying to help people out in any way that you can. And
yeah, trying to spread positivity, and that's what I think. I'm singing to extremely aggressive music, right? In SikTh, it's such aggressive, angry music. So I think the anger on this album and the anger on previous albums is actually aimed at evil and aimed at, like, the things which are dark. Do you know what I mean? Like the things, the evil of this world. I'm angry at certain things, so I let it out. If I'm going to sing on a psychedelic soft album, you'll hear like probably a lot more beautiful and a lot more positivity. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, because I got asked recently, there's a lot of negativity. Well, yeah, I'm talking about negativity in order to be positive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people who aren't experiencing it don't realize, that when you have more negative lyrics or depressing music or anything that's more dark, it can be very beneficial to positivity, because it doesn't make you feel alone. It makes you realize that others are going through the same struggles that you might be going through, and it helps bring up your spirits when you realize that you're not alone.
Exactly. You're completely correct. It's a great artist to doing that kind of thing. It's actually it's a lot softer music, but I've mentioned it before. It's obviously Leonard Cohen. Some people find him too melancholic, but I think he's one of the most uplifting people I've ever heard in my life. He's just an absolute and his words make you very uplifted. But yeah, I agree with you, man. And that's why, a lot of people confuse metal as well. Thinking it's thinking like moshing and stuff like that, and aggressive music is a negative thing. No, aggressive music, if you get out your aggression, if you let it out in such a cathartic kind of way, in that form, in a positive form, not hurting anyone, that's one of the best things you can do, man. It's a therapeutic thing, right?
Yeah, without question. I mean, any way that you can release that anger so it doesn't self-destruct or destruct something else or someone else. I mean, if it takes that aggression in music, I find that to be a very positive thing.
I think so, yeah. I was talking to this guy, actually, one of the Maiden shows, and he was one of Adrian's friends, and he was telling me that, like, a big thing is screaming therapy, a lot of real higher class of people go for screaming therapy now to kind of release their anger, and because it's such a pure form of anger, of release, Yeah. It's primal, man. But so yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of the lyrics talk about darkness, but it's against darkness, and it's anger at the darkness. And really, I would just be hopeful for good. You know what I mean? Because that's what this world needs more of. Needs more hope and more good, I think. But there's a lot of good people in the world, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really hope when people do get the chance to check out The Future in Whose Eyes coming out June 2nd, that they'll be able to appreciate the lyrics, just like you said that people in North America have been able to really be able to digest what you have to say lyrically. I think people will be able to discover that even more on this album, and, you know, just like looking at the dark things, but also looking at it through a positive way as well, realizing that we just need to be better to each other, we need to get through the darkness, and see how we can make things better for tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be great, man. That would be a great thing, man. And like I said, I'm commentating on the world, essentially. I'm giving my opinions on things, but if there's any message, it's what you just said. If there's any kind of message, it's what you just said, yeah. It's it's a peaceful message, you know what I mean? Essentially.
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
Well,
peace and hope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we can ask for in this world, and hopefully one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
Well,
cool, man.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so very much for taking all this time to talk to me. It's great to be able to catch up again from last year and being able to help promote the brand new album coming out June 2nd. I've been waiting for this for so very long, for the next full length from SikTh, and it's an absolute honor to be able to help promote it. And hopefully people checking out this interview, checking out the radio show, will want to go and pick this up, whether they're a first-time listener to the band or they're a long-time fan, because this is definitely one of the best albums of the year, and it's definitely one of the best releases you guys have ever done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and very nice to talk to you too.
Before we're done here, is there anything else that you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
I just want to quickly tell everyone, because basically I saw the artwork once it had already been done, and I was shocked because I didn't get my one little credit which I wanted, because I'm so proud of my lyrics, and I know we've said it in this interview already, but just so people know, I write all the lyrics and all the vocals of this last album, The Future in Whose Eyes. It's Mikee W. Goodman, because I'm not credited on the new album, so I just wanted to make that clear, because it's all I can do now.
Yeah, I'll definitely make sure to bring up the word about that too. I mean, you definitely deserve all the praise that you get for the lyrics on the album, as amazing as they are.
Thank you very much, because at the moment it just says written by, and then it says my name last, and it doesn't say anything about lyrics, so I was like, man, come on. Work my ass off here. So, yeah. No, I'm very proud of it. I'm very much like, you know, it means so much to me to get, you know, to write and to connect with people. So thank you very much.